Hello, and my name is Ross Wilson. I live here in Ontario, Canada. I've been working in the end of life care space for many, many years as a hospice chaplain, end of life doula, and also grief coach. In 2017, I lost my mom to cancer, and during that process, I started to understand the differences between dignity and non-dignity healthcare system, and also pain management. Throughout the process, realizing the amount of increased opioid use in the pain management system. Through that, I started working in the communities of Vancouver, started to realize the importance of not only dignity, but end of life care dignity for those that are being struggling through homelessness, opioid crisis, and communities that are in need of help. The psychedelic space has come to us in so many different ways, but also in such a need right now. End of life care pain and care management process is becoming very, very difficult for most people. And that stems from one, accessibility, and two, affordability. End of life care pain is, in some cases, out of reach for a lot of communities, especially up north and in the lower income and homeless communities. What I did was I created a project called the Bardo Network, which provides free end of life care support to those communities through support through my partnerships and resources, but also natural resources. Working with organizations across Canada that are in that supportive need for end of life care for individuals with terminal illness, we go through an existential kind of crisis to understanding the process of end of life. And is it painful? What happens next? A lot of these questions come up even for us ourselves. And psychedelics are in that process of helping find that peace. Sometimes we find this spiritual need of being less fearful, less scared of what's next, fearful of, no more pain as I go through this terminal diagnosis. As we, as normal people who pay taxes and do jobs and have an area code and even a postal code, we have choices of pain management and support during end of life. We have access to palliative and hospice care. But 70, 80% in some cases in Canada and the United States, this is unachievable for a lot of people. As an end of life doula, we work with families at home in the comfort of their home. And in some cases, a lot of these individuals want that pain management support, but are not willing to try and experience the pharmaceutical side of things. They want something more natural, something that they've experienced before an illness has ravaged through them. In this process, we find that psychedelics is something that we know is beneficial not only to pain management, but also spiritual management. As a hospice chaplain, and a lot of the things that we discuss is what's next, what happens, where am I going? And psilocybin and psychedelics find a way of creating a pathway for a lot of people to see that peace, to find that peace, to also discuss openly with an individual like myself or others that feeling of, I'm not scared anymore. I don't fear anymore. Pain management is something that, in this case, when working with these organizations and the organization of myself, is so important for communities. We are witnessing a lot more families, low-income families, homeless populations increasing due to recession or economic turmoil or loss of job during COVID. Pain management is something that we see all the time in desperate need and is unachievable for most. A lot of people think that a lot of families can just go to the pharmacy and get Tylenol and all these things like that. But in some cases, that is also out of reach for a lot of families. But utilizing, wellness and psychedelics and natural remedies that we have been using for hundreds of thousands of years, a lot of families in multicultural families utilize this as something that has been in their generation and history. They are using this for all types of pain management. And the problem with right now that we're dealing with is we are preventing them from utilizing this because of legalization issues or legalities or questions from healthcare systems. At the end of the day, we should not be able to determine for someone else their pain management at the end of life. We do not have the right to do that. What we do have the right to do is support with advocacy, support, education, and tools that they can make some conscious decisions. The low-income and homeless population is also being neglected in a strong manner when it comes to end-of-life pain management. Advocating for options of utilizing these services. We are even in my process of helping create a psychedelic death doula training and being able to create an education manual for individuals in the end-of-life care space to get knowledge based around this. If we have the proper knowledge, if we have the proper understanding of psychedelics, we can be able to provide support for these people through their end of life. At the end of the day, my main priority was my mom's dignity as she passed. I wanted to honor and cherish that. Everyone has the right to have the same feeling, have the same dignity, and have the same right. The one thing that I notice working in the communities, a lot of people say that they don't show dignity, they don't get dignity honored in life. Why are they worried about it in death? And that's something that we need to remove. Everyone deserves to have dignity in life and in death. No matter how many zeros you have in your account, everyone deserves that. Psychedelics allows people to have that affordable ease and natural support during end of life. I've been doing this for so many years, and the importance of cannabis use and psychedelics in this space of end of life is so important. We look at it in a very meaningful way for mental health issues and general pain management. But we really need to emphasize the importance of providing this solution for end of life care. Whether they are older or younger individuals, no matter who they are and where they come from, having choices and options are important. Because again, very little of the population in Canada and the United States have access to palliative and hospice care and that pain management system. My mom was lucky to have access to fentanyl, but in some cases, what does fentanyl do to someone's mind? Are they being neglected that spiritual experience? I always thought to myself, if my mom's getting all this fentanyl, is she witnessing a beautiful end of life? Is she experiencing a spiritual journey? Or is she going through this existential crisis of the unknown? Through psychedelic trip sitting and experiences, people are able to unlock that feeling of confusion. And we are absolutely giving them the opportunity to potentially have seeing spiritual beliefs and gods that they believe in. And no matter what we believe in as individuals, if someone is giving comfort to somebody, being able to use a resource and a supply and a natural material to be able to provide someone a spiritual journey through end of life, we have as a due diligence and duty as a human race to be able to support them on that journey. As a hospice chaplain, end-of-life doula, even a grief coach with families, grief and bereavement is such a powerful tool. In some cases, we neglect bereavement and grief because we are told to get back to work and go through that process of just toughen up and be stronger. But in some cases, we are unable to do that. And especially losing a loved one, it becomes quite powerful. And when we don't embrace it and do something about it, we unfortunately will hold on to that for many, many years. I did that same process with my mom at the end of life. I got right back to work and I didn't fully grieve. Psilocybin and psychedelics are another tool to help with grief management. Sometimes we need that experience of spirituality to be able to go through the process of grieving, to witness experiences and individuals and visions to be able to help through that. We have known in history that individuals in all types of religious faiths and spiritual journeys have utilized psilocybin and psychedelics to get that even higher enlightenment feeling. We have the right to do that, and we have the right to choose to help those individuals. Psychedelics are so much more than what we have heard and what the institutions tell us. Witnessing these experiences of individuals through terminal illnesses, having these epiphanies, these existential journeys from life and death, to experience these journeys, to feel peace and joy through the process. That is what we want to keep doing, is to be able to provide this to families at an affordable rate for these services. At the end of the day, end of life is guaranteed. Birth and life and death is guaranteed. But what we do know is we need to celebrate death as much as we celebrate life. We need to cherish these moments, but also at the end of our lives, we want to make sure that everyone has the dignity. If we have the resources and we have the ability to do so, everyone deserves that dignified end of life, and especially a painless end of life. No matter what, the cancer that took my mom did a job on her, and I knew she was in pain at the end, and I couldn't do anything about it because at that time psychedelics were not even a topic of conversation. Cannabis was not even a topic of conversation. I always thought to myself, what if I gave my mom cannabis and THC and psychedelics? Would things be different? Would she have had a better last few months, the last few weeks, the last few moments? But I wasn't able to do that, and unfortunately society prevented me from doing that because of information and knowledge and stigmatism from the past. We read all these information researches from the past with old eyes. We need to look at it with modern eyes. These are tools that we were given in the dawn of time for a purpose. And if we're able to help people from low income to homeless families to individuals no matter what, we need to have choices. And that's the thing. When we have choices and options for people during their end of life journey, everything becomes better. Through this journey, working with the community and the projects and organizations across Canada help develop better ways of offering pain management, offering resources and support, and even offering knowledge, intakes, conversations, one-on-one, discussing these topics. Even though that people may not want to utilize psychedelics at end of life, having the knowledge and choice to do so is important. It doesn't mean that we have to force it down their throats, but having the proper knowledge and experience and understanding is important to make a conscious decision. We give people knowledge about Tylenol and all these pills. We need to do the same for psychedelics. At the end of the day, when someone is going through their end of life journey, if they choose to do something, it's their choice and they have the right to do that. We should never stop people from choosing their path of end of life. And we are neglecting a lot of communities here in Canada, the United States, communities, multicultural communities, individuals coming into this country that are not familiar with our laws and familiar with their rights for end of life. We need to educate them as well in the language of their choosing, because at the end of our days, we need to have that support. Whether we are alone or with one individual like a death doula, we need to have that support. Psychedelics are the opportunity to be able to provide people an affordable, powerful tool to make those conscious decisions. And I thank everybody that is an advocate, a supporter. People are out there that are promoting it and talking about it. Knowledge and our voices are key to make this a smooth transition to legalization, but also a smooth transition for families to be able to understand their rights to choose. I thank you all for everything that you do. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to have this opportunity to speak. And again, I thank you all for your voice, because when we speak together louder and louder, things get done, chances get made, and choices are on the table. I thank you so much.